Ladies and gentlemen, what a fucking show we saw here tonight with AEW's second installment of their program, of their company, promotion, whatever way you want to call it. They put on a hell of a fucking show here tonight called AEW Fyter Fest. This is your 2019 review of Fyter Fest of AEW. Ladies and gentlemen, I have really no complaints whatsoever outside of a few things, but other than that, this show was a very solid show, especially for a show without any championship belts on the line. Um, we got really great wrestling action, and this show didn't have too many flaws. Now, there was some botches here and there in some of the matches. Some of the matches looked a little like they were trying to figure out what they were trying to do in the middle of these matches, such as like the opener in the pre-show with the Private Party, Best of Friends, and SoCal Uncensored. Um, was this first matchup a very good one? Absolutely. It was fast paced. The audience was very much into this new tag team that I'm not even familiar with called Private Party. Their names are Matt Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy. They put on a hell of a matchup. They were really high flying maneuvers they performed in this matchup. A lot of moonsaults. They were very entertaining. They remind me a lot of the Street Profits from NXT. These two guys competing against the Street Profits would have been fantastic to see if that's even possible at any point in time in their careers. Um, Definitely great matchup here. Just go into some of the things that happen that I have here off of WrestlingZone.com. So here's what we have as some of the highlights I could read off to you guys. I don't remember everything that happened in every single match, so please excuse me if I'm looking at a computer reading off some of the highlights that happened during this match. So SCU starts off hot. It's over with the Daytona crowd. Mark Quinn does a blind hot tag and gets the crowd going with a fun sequence. Isaiah Cassidy and Quinn get hot with Cassidy hitting a Asuya moonsault onto the outside. Starts up an AEW chant that bleeds into a Private Party chant. Um, Other teams get the upper hand that leads into boos, which was actually surprising to hear. But yes, a lot of the action went back and forth. All three teams had some kind of momentum at some point in this matchup. Everyone shined. They all had a great opportunity to display their talent and skill set in the middle of that ring. Um, at the end of the day, best friends Trent Beretta and Chucky T are the ones that, or Chuck T, I should say, walk away with this victory, which is their second victory in a row since they've started with AEW back with Double or Nothing. So they're definitely this matchup did play some implications with their tag team. Since they made this win, they're actually going to be having some kind of role in the tag team title tournament that's going to be happening later on. I believe their very first tag team tournament matchup is going to occur at All Out, and then they're just going to continue with that tournament throughout the month of October when they start up with TNT. So that's pretty much the overall situation here with the tag team division. Um, At that point, we also had this new tag team called the Dark Order, which I'm not too impressed with. They're way too gimmicky. They've seemed very, very lame, lower level WWE type level promoting gimmick that I'm not too into. I'm not really into it that much. I don't think the acting is very good. I didn't think anything that they were trying to portray really gave me any kind of intrigue to what they're trying to offer to me on television. So honestly, I don't care for Dark Order. I think they're just a wannabe bunch of fucking Bray Wyatt wannabes. That's basically it. Um, so backstage, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, talk about how they're bleeding money. They cover all the lack of perks and stuff at Fyter Fest. Leva Bates and Peter Avalon, who are together as a team here, they actually are gimmick of a librarians, basically, which I find completely idiotic. They were going shh the whole time they were in the ring. The audience was going along with it, which I didn't quite understand why. They're not that. Their gimmick really sucks. I do like the idea that they were playing a lot towards technology and how society should be more towards looking in books instead of looking on computers and their cell phones and being so dependent on those things, which I find a very good asset or aspect on their gimmick that they're trying to portray. And if they continue with something like that, that's cool and all, but this whole thing with the fucking bullshit, like, what are you saying for? You're in a fucking arena full of people that are trying to enjoy themselves and get excited, and you're telling them to be quiet. That just seems so stupid and idiotic. If you want to be a librarian, go to a library, not a fucking arena full of 10,000 people plus. Okay, it just seems so stupid. Lady's name is Leva Bates. She faced Ollie, who's formerly known on Impact Wrestling. She was actually killed off literally by a storyline death. And now she is on AEW, which I believe this matchup played some kind of implications on her being involved in the AEW Women's Championship hunt. So, we get some action here. This matchup wasn't really all that impressive. I wasn't very happy with this match. I found it extremely boring. Nothing excited me whatsoever. This was absolute garbage, to be quite frank with you. I did not like this matchup at all. Then we got a backstage segment with Kenny Omega trying to prepare for music acts, but Brandon Cutler shows up to tell him that Blink 182 had been canceled. This whole thing, I didn't quite really get what they were trying to get at outside of the fact that they were just trying to say AEW doesn't need bells and whistles to provide a highly entertaining show to a full packed house audience and people watching at home. That's about the only thing I was really getting from this. Once again, they're shooting at WWE, which I don't really agree with. I think they need to stop hinting any kind of recognition to WWE at all, because they need to just focus on themselves. That's really all this needs to be about. This needs to be about AEW, not WWE, and the toxic environment that WWE provides to its audience and to its talent. So, quite frankly, I'm not really agreeing with this tactic or idea of taking shots at another promotion like this. I think it's kind of stupid. I mean, doing it once is one thing, but then doing it again at another pay-per-view a month later, it gets a little stupid. I don't really agree with it. I think it's more along the lines, let's be a little bit professional right now and just focus on yourself, your own promotion. Now focus on some outside promotion that you're competing against. I think that's kind of retarded. They did, like I said, they did some things on this show that I didn't particularly agree with or actually like, but majority of this show I did like a whole lot. So, the next match, which was the last match on the whole entire kickoff show, was Michael Nakazawa versus Alex J. Bailey. Now, Michael Nakazawa, this guy is the first time I ever seen him perform. he is actually a very, very entertaining character. I like his hardcore wrestling skills, not to mention he's Japanese doing hardcore wrestling, which is not very common. Usually they're just performing regular, highly entertaining athletic matches, but this guy, he goes all out in his matches, hardcore style, which I really appreciate. And I mean, this guy, he has got a very, very funny attitude too. I mean, for example, he talks about how Alex Jabali went ahead and got a serious injury to his right knee, but in reality it was his left knee. And Alex Jabali, being really stupid, I don't know why he did this, came out and said, "You got your history incorrect, pal. It was my left knee, not my right knee." And he says, "Oh, thank you for that information." And he hits him in the correct knee that he hurt himself and started the match, and that's how this match started. So it starts off with some hip tosses and a body slam to Nakazawa. CEO chant breaks out. Nakazawa escapes Alex's clutches with oil, and everybody slips, include Bryce Remsburg, the ref. The match goes to the outside. Yeah, he used actual baby body oil, which was very different. I've never seen that done in any kind of matchup before, but they did it here, so very mind-boggling kind of shit here. So the match goes outside. Alex has a joystick board and hits Nakazawa with it for a 2 count. Jabali begins drowning Nak in the kiddie pool, which I actually did not like that scene. That was really kind of stupid, him putting him inside of a kiddie pool and sticking his head in it. That was just really off the wall, dumb and retarded. A lot of other hardcore wrestling stuff occurred in this matchup. It was a very solid matchup. And at the end of the day, Michael Nakazawa got the actual win and got the 1-2-3, and that's how the match ended. So, for the pre-show, I'll go ahead and give you my star ratings for these matches. The triple threat tag team match with the SCU, Best Friends and Private Party, I'm giving that a 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely a great matchup. I recommend anyone who never caught this event should catch it. It was really good, especially a pre-show. I would take a look at that with the triple threat tag team matchup. Ale and Leva Bates, I'm going to give that a 2 out of 5 stars. That match really wasn't all that great. I wasn't highly entertained by it. And Michael Nakazawa versus Alex Jabali, I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5 stars. So overall, I mean, as an average, I believe the pre-show 3 matches, a 4, a 7, and a 2 is a 9. It pretty much got an average 3 out of 5 stars. It's pretty average, solid pre-show, not that bad. So we get the main card here, and we go straight into it. Christopher Daniels and CIMA. This matchup was a really good opener. Very fun. Again, Christopher Daniels headlining the opener of a pay-per-view of AEW and doing it extremely well with his opponent. Enjoyed this match very much. Daniels and CIMA kick off the show. A few minutes in, Daniels hits an Arabian moonsault and transitions it into a crossface, which was absolutely beautiful. I thought that was fucking great. CIMA kicks out of an angel wing. CIMA delivers an impressive Liger bomb and hits a Munaki driver for a 2 count. The crowd is into it and hits a white noise and then a knee driving drop for the win. Solid overall matchup here. This matchup, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. There was some moments in this matchup, I have to admit, it was kind of slow, but it does pick up as the match goes on. The next match was a triple threat women's matchup. Again, the women wrestling in AEW needs a lot of work. I am not impressed with their wrestling ability with the women's division compared to like something in Impact Wrestling or fucking or WWE. I think Impact Wrestling and WWE have the best women's wrestlers going today. I mean, don't get me wrong, WWE's women wrestlers in the mid shuffle of things, not the main eventers, but the women that are in the middle there that are not really highlighted as much, they absolutely suck. But the women at the top of the heap of the women's division in WWE is superb. I really enjoy watching them more than the men these days, which is pretty sad in itself. Women I could list off to you from WWE being like fucking Becky Lynch, Bayley, Sasha Banks if she was being utilized right now. Charlotte Flair is definitely a decent and really good entertaining component to this company. Alexa Bliss used to be when she was on SmackDown. When she moved over to Raw, she has become a complete and utter joke to me. I really don't care for her whatsoever. And Lacey Evans is a complete choke artist and a failure, 100%. She needs to go back to NXT and figure out where the fuck what she needs to do to fix herself, because she's become crap since she's joined the main roster. But going back to this was a triple threat women's matchup. Riho, Nyla Rose, and Yaka Sakazaka. This matchup wasn't all that great. It was two small Japanese wrestlers against a large Samoan. If you already have seen, Nia Jax, you kind of get the idea what this woman's trying to portray. She's a bit tougher, but she ends up losing in the end by Raho. This matchup was a 2 out of 5 stars as well. I mean, I didn't really care for this match. This matchup was back and forth action. It seemed more like a handicap match than anything else if you really think about it. So, I mean, it's a take it or leave it kind of thing. I didn't particularly think much of it. It was a solid, okay, entertaining matchup, but it wasn't exactly what you call anything that WWE or Impact Wrestling has provided us in women wrestling. That's really all that I have to say on that. Then we had a Fatal 4-Way match with Adam Page, who's Hangman Page, I should say, MJF, Jungle Boy, and Jimmy Havoc. This matchup was all over the place. Everyone was getting involved. This matchup was definitely well worth everybody's time. I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Adam Page actually picks up the victory, hits his finishing maneuver, and I believe the person he hits the finishing maneuver is on Havoc. So that's pretty much the overall gist of this match. It was a lot of back and forth action, a lot of high risk maneuvers performed by these guys. MJF came to the ring talking a lot of shit to everybody in the audience, especially where he said, "Hey, I loved playing video games too at one time until I lost my virginity." And the crowd was booing the shit out of him and calling him an asshole, basically. It was absolutely glorious. I think it was fucking fantastic. I really enjoy what MJF does with the audience. He connects with them, maybe in a negative manner, but he connects with them nonetheless. That is the key thing to always be able to do as a talent. You have to be able to connect with the audience to gain some kind of reaction, either positive or negative, whichever it may be. but this guy can really talk. He can cut a promo very well, and his in-ring action ability is not that bad either. So with all that rolled up together, you got a hell of a fine piece of talent. All he needs to do is improve a little bit more on his wrestling ability, and he's a fucking 5-star classic waiting to happen. I honestly love this guy. I think he's an absolute great talent. He's very young too, and he put on a hell of a promo, and then his in-ring action was pretty solid at best. So I have to give the guy props. He was very impressive in this matchup. Adam Page, they made the right decision making him the winner. He's going into a world championship match in 2 months. You gotta give him the win. You can't make him lose. I mean, they could have made him not lose, per se lose, like take the pinfall and keep him out of the pinfall result, but what's the point of doing that? You might as well should just make him win the match since he's going in a world title match, making him look believable and making it very predictable who you think might win, Jericho or Adam Page. Well, Adam Page getting a win here kind of gives him a little bit of a legitimate thought that he might still actually beat a guy like Chris Jericho. Me personally, I think that is the guy that needs to beat Chris Jericho. Jericho has done everything in professional wrestling. He has won championships. He doesn't need to win a world title going into TNT. Okay? I do understand where everybody's coming from. He's a well-known name, and that's the title that title should go to him because of the name credibility. But when you're talking about building young talent, such as Adam Page, who has not been featured in a main event type scene in any promotion, and you're giving him this world title shot opportunity, why not pass him the torch and give him the reins and see what he can do with it? Worst case scenario, if he's not doing good with it for the next 2-3 weeks, take the title off of him. Make him defend the title and advertise it and get some ratings out of it. What the fuck? Who cares? But get some young talent. Get people to know these younger talent. Cody Rhodes, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, they don't need to win the world title right away. They are already credible. You get their name on the card, that's all you need to do. People aren't going to care if they're in the world title picture. They're going to care if they're at least on the card. That's what matters. What you need to do is get these young talent winning some kind of major title to get them noticed. Now, talking about the Young Bucks, I did mention you don't have to give them the titles right away. Young Bucks, I am feeling a little different about. I think out of all the tag teams that are in this division in AEW, they need to be the ones to carry that belt because they are the fucking golden rule of tag team wrestling. They are the best of the best right now. The only ones that I think that could come close to the Young Bucks in tag team wrestling would be the Usos or the Guerrillas of Destiny. That is it. Those are the two tag teams that even come close. And oh yeah, the Briscoe brothers. I forgot about them. Jay Briscoe and Mark Briscoe from Ring of Honor. They actually would put on a really good tag team matchup. So those are the only tag teams that I can name off of from other promotions that are as good as the Young Bucks. But in AEW, yeah, there's good tag team talent. But the Young Bucks, they're the standing bearers. They're the top of the food chain when it comes to tag team wrestling right now. Outside, oh yeah, I forgot about the Lucha Brothers. They could also win the tag team titles too. So, I mean, you gotta think about that. But they haven't been tag teaming for a very long time. The Young Bucks have. So, that's another thing to put into account. Alright, so next match was Cody versus Darby Allin. My God, Cody Rhodes has pulled off 2 back-to-the-back pay-per-view quality matches in AEW that stole the fucking show. Honestly, Cody and Darby Allin stole the fucking show. Cody made freaking Darby Allin a superstar. He made him a recognized name just after this match. And this match went 20 minutes to a draw. These guys roughed each other up. They hit each other with forearms clean to the face as hard as they could, making it as believable as possible. They were dirty as fuck, especially Darby Allin taking a bite out of Cody Rhodes' hand and pretty much going after the injured hand that he had. And the overall... Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention the... the Fatal 4-Way match. I give that match a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think I already gave you guys that ranking, but it doesn't matter. So Cody versus Darby Allin. This matchup, bottom line, guys, was a 4.5 out of 5 stars. This was the show stealer of the night. It had everything you were looking for in a regular matchup, and the ending just ended with a draw, which was absolutely perfect. I was saying Cody deserves to have the win, get Darby Allin the loss. He at least had an opportunity to perform against a big name like Cody Rhodes, and instead they did something that was better than my own decision, which is create a draw between these two guys, where you make Darby Allin maybe get his ass kicked, but still look like a winner, regardless of the fact that he didn't get the win altogether. So again, this match, 4.5 out of 5 stars. Very solid matchup. Matchup ends in a draw because of time limit. So fucking great deal on that. At the end of the match, though, Ty Dillinger, now known as Shawn Spears, comes out with a chair for whatever reason. I have no idea, but I don't follow All Elite Wrestling's YouTube channel and check out every single video that they upload on YouTube. So they might have had some kind of storyline going on YouTube about those two, and maybe this led to Cody Rhodes getting cranked across the head with a fucking chair. Cody had a very bad gash on the back of his skull, creating a lot of blood to come out of his head. He definitely needs stitches, most importantly, and probably needs to be checked for any kind of concussion issues. So yeah, that's going to definitely lead to a major matchup angle with Shawn Spears and Cody Rhodes all together. I hope that matchup happens at the All Out event, which is going to be another main event type matchup that we're going to be able to see at this pay-per-view in Chicago. That event I am definitely going to watch, either at my home or at my best friend's house. We're probably gonna share that and split it together, or I'm gonna pay it here by myself and watch it here at my house. But either way, I am not missing this for anything. If fucking SummerSlam was on the same night that this was on, I'd be telling WWE to go do that. Go fuck themselves, because AEW is putting on great matches. They are putting on entertainment. They are giving you valuable wrestling that we are happy to watch. It is hardcore NXT type look. That is what we want as wrestling fans. We want hard, gritty, action-packed shit, not this fucking bubblegum glimpse and glamour bullshit that we get from WWE and somewhat of NXT, but we actually get wrestling in NXT, which is very important. So we go into the co-main event, which is the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid versus the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. This match starts out with Kenny Omega coming out in Street Fighter gear as Nick Jackson as Ken and Matt Jackson as Ryu. And then with the cherry on the top, Justin Roberts saying round 1 fight, which I didn't quite understand what the hell the point of having Street Fighter gimmick come out there, but I do understand there was some kind of gaming advertisement for this too. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Things get tense early on. Crowd pops for both teams as each get the upper hand on one another. A lot of super kicks, so the super kick party was in full effect here. Big pop for when Matt Jackson delivered the locomotion in onto Laredo and Ray Phoenix. Kenny gets in the ring to work on Laredo. Laredo eventually climbs up top, but as he dives, Kenny drop kicks Kid down. Penta blocks Kenny's route and insults Kenny with his no fear taunt. Two trade attacks. All elite members in the ring to work on Laredo. Both teams show off their talent as Mega later Snapdragon suplexes all three opponents. Some very wild spots going down at this point. A super kick party breaks out. Breaks out before the three leaders bring triple Hendo Kens and then a triple bomb. This is awesome. Chance can be heard. Omega hits a V-trigger knee, but Phoenix hits a cutter out of nowhere. Then Nick Jackson hits a reverse cutter, which almost looked like he was going to snap Ray Phoenix's neck, which was not a very good spot. I think they kind of fucked up there. And Nick Jackson returns the favor on Phoenix with a reverse cutter. Omega hits a Tiger Driver 98, 2 count, then 10 minutes remaining, one wing Angel for the win on Laredo Kid. The Elite actually get the victory. This matchup, guys, was back and forth all over the place. I know I read a full-on highlight description off of WrestleZone.com to you guys just to give you some of the highlights and information that happened during this matchup. But I gotta tell you guys, this matchup was all over the place. Very highly entertaining six-man tag team match. Puts any WWE six-man tag team matchup to fucking shame. I mean, to shame. It was fucking raw, heavy. These guys were hitting each other on all cylinders. They were wrapped up in pain at the end of this event, and they definitely went all out for the six-man tag team match. This matchup here, I would definitely give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Very solid matchup overall. Next match was the unsanctioned match between Joey Janela versus Jon Moxley. Now, a very interesting element, little bit of detail they throw in here that's very, very entertaining, that they've had non-sanctioned matches in other promotions where they never would darken the lights before the match would start as a way of saying the show is technically over, but it really isn't, because this matchup is not actually sanctioned by the promotion itself, because they were afraid of what these guys might do to each other, so they didn't want to be held reliable for what happens to them at this event. This matchup, I mean, I gotta say, it was definitely well deserving of the main event. It wasn't no show stealer nonetheless, but it was definitely worth being the main event because, one, it's Jon Moxley's debut into AEW, wrestling in their promotion, and these guys were fucking doing like Terry Funk Mick Foley type shit. The only thing they were missing is fucking fireworks and explosions going on in this matchup. They were using thumbtacks. They were using tables, ladders, chairs with fucking barbed wire on them. Barbed wire wrapped on small tables. I mean, you name it, they did it. The only thing missing was fucking plastic explosives going off while they were smashing each other with them. I mean, it was an all-out hardcore ECW type style matchup. It was fucking unbelievable. I mean, I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It is really close with Cody and Darby Allin. I mean, I would put that match and this match neck and neck somewhat, but Darby Allin really highlighted a lot of his ability. He impressed me a lot, especially what he did in that ring with Cody. But these two guys at the end of the show fucking annihilated each other. They were bleeding all over their bodies from the barbed wire, from probably maybe some some of the table spots they did, but they went all out crazy on one another and they kicked fucking ass. And boy, are they fucking sick, the both of them. I hope these two guys have another matchup again at some point later on in their careers with this company, because they put a hell of a fucking match on each other. I'll just read off some of the highlights I have here. So they start the match off, lights darken out. Janela hits Mox with a fan's prosthetic leg and actually makes a cut right over by his eyelid, and he starts bleeding, which was fucking weird as shit. He throws a chair in the ring before tossing Janela in for a body slam on the top of a chair. Moxie is bleeding from the top of his eyebrow. Joey gets the upper hand as Janela has him weary in the chair, and Joey does a swan time towards him. Blue crushes the chair instead. Oh yeah, this one spot, Joey Janela puts John Moxley in a chair, makes him sit in it, and he goes up to the top rope. And he does a Jeff Hardy move, and John Moxley moves out of the way, and he fucking lands right on that chair and breaks the chair flat on its ass. I'm surprised the guy could keep on going the way he landed on that chair. It was fucking sick. That was the one spot that was fucked up. Outside of the fucking prosthetic leg to the head, and things get more and more sick as it goes along. Let me see where I left off here. So next up, Moxley pulls out a barbed wire chair. This is where things start to really unravel and get really fucking sick and pathetic. Well, not pathetic, but pretty fucking darn right disgusting. So Moxley pulls out a barbed wire chair and pulls a bloody cloth off of it. He stomps the chair in Janela. Crowd chants, "You sick fuck," to Moxley. And as they're chanting this, I'm picturing in my mind, I'm saying to myself, if I was in Moxley's shoes, I would take a bow. And right after I thought that, Moxley took a fucking bow. I couldn't believe it. It was so fucking hilarious. It was like I was thinking the same as John Moxley here. It was fucking unbelievable. I actually enjoyed that one spot where he just bows to the crowd for them chanting that he's a sick fuck. I thought that was great. So, let's see here. It takes a bow to the audience, which garners a pop. Mox dives from the top rope, but lands on a chair as Janela hits him flush across the back. Janela brings a table and puts it in the corner. Janela delivers a Russian leg sweep onto Mox through the table on the outside. Mox drives Janela spine first into the table in the ring. Mox pulls out another table and then another, and lines them up. Janela double flips him the bird as Moxley calls him a dumb motherfucker. Didn't hear that part, but okay. Brings out a barbed wire board, calls him a dumb barbed wire board. Janela turns the table and Mox and throws him into the board. Ladder comes into play as Mox defends himself on the two tables outside, and Janela delivers a beauty of an elbow drop from the top. Yes, that was definitely a very well performed elbow drop by Janela. Great job by him. As things start to unravel, we start to see thumbtacks. We start to get the shoes taken off from Janela. I was saying to myself, how in the fuck can Janela be okay with doing something like this? He must be a crazy lunatic who enjoys pain a lot to be willing to go about having thumbtacks drilled into the bottom of your feet, barefooted, without any protective shoes on your feet. That was the sickest fucking thing I have ever seen in my life. How he managed to do that and be okay with doing it is beyond me. What a sick bastard. Time goes on, he pours more thumbtacks, Moxley, and delivers the Dirty Deeds maneuver and gets to 1, 2, 3. And Moxley also put himself through those thumbtacks to perform that move anyway to win this match. And Jon Moxley wins. Again, as I mentioned, this match was a 4 out of 5 stars. Now, after the match was over, Kenny Omega comes into this whole scenario, and he kicks Jon Moxley's ass to get revenge for what happened to him last month at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Fantastic idea by AEW. It extends more heated exchange of dislike towards one another, and that is building more friction between the two characters for All Out at the August pay-per-view for AEW. At the end of this, fucking Jon Moxley sitting there laughing his ass off as he was beaten to a pulp by Kenny Omega, and it didn't seem to matter to him. He actually enjoyed it. And that's pretty much the overall ending to your show. They pretty much blacked out, and that was the end of this pay-per-view. This pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen, was fucking awesome. There is nothing I could say that makes this show bad, because they didn't do a thing that was extremely bad. There was a couple of things, like I mentioned, that was kind of stupid. The women's wrestling needs to improve. They need to find better women talent. I am not impressed with their women wrestlers. I do not think they're all that great. That's their one weak spot within this company. Everything else is on spot, on point. I really appreciate the work that these guys do. I did see some hesitation out there, like in the six-man, the triple threat tag team match in the opener. There was some kind of hesitation, like they were trying to pinpoint it correctly to do their maneuvers so they don't have any kind of mistakes. But that's fine and dandy. They're just trying to do their job correctly so they don't hurt each other or botch the move really bad. It just looks on paper, as you see it, you can tell that it doesn't feel natural. It feels very like orchestrated and, rehearsed, that it doesn't come across on screen like a natural thing, like you're watching a real authentic fight. So that's the only issue with that match I really had. Other than that, this show was fucking great. Anyway, guys, leave your comments and opinions down below. Hit the like button if you liked the video. And thank you very much for watching, and have a great night. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Leave any comments down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. And hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to this channel.